Hi everybody, happy full moon. I just wanted to pop in here and give my source code downloads of whatever the hell is going on with me, what I'm thinking about, what is coming to me, and I wanted to see how you all resonated. So this full moon, we have a full moon in Cancer, and Cancer is the archetype of the divine feminine. One of the archetypes of the divine feminine. It's also the archetype of the mother. And the things that I've been feeling the most these days, and you guys tell me if you relate, is I want to talk about when you feel fucking crazy. I want to talk about when you actually wonder if you're losing your mind, when you feel like you're on an edge, if you feel depressive, if you feel manic, if you feel bipolar, any mental, which they're not mental illnesses, they're fucking soul imbalances. And our culture just deems everything as part of the mind, which is just absolute bullshit. So the realization I've had this week, kind of actually, is that when you are an authentic witch, meaning you are an empathic, psychic person, woman, the way you live your life is through intuition. That's like the strongest sense. You can feel into the psychic energies and the psychic vibrations of everything behind the matter. But when you live in a world that doesn't value intuition as something that is legitimate or the energetic realm, a lot of the time what ends up happening is you end up doubting yourself. You doubt what you feel. You doubt your senses, and you go back into the mind space of trying to dissect what you are feeling. This is what has happened to witches for hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of years. And we're entering this space now where I think that this is really what the bipolar and the deep energies of mental illness are today. They're soul imbalances. And they're really about when we feel very strongly about something, but everyone around us is telling us that that's not true, or it's false, or we shouldn't feel that way, or we shouldn't do that. Or when we let fear, because of our external material circumstances, dictate our intuitive feelings, meaning we don't follow our intuition, we don't trust our intuition. And when that split starts to happen between the intuitive mind, body, spirit, and the mind, you begin to become bipolar. Meaning you start to, say you have a deep intuition about something, and you tell your husband, you tell your friend, and they question it. And there's no way that you can prove it. And in a world that lives by rationality, then you lose. You're seen as stupid, you're seen as silly, you're seen as worthless. And the only thing you can do is defend yourself with rationality. And what ends up happening is that intuitive spark, which is where our self-worth lives, it's where our spiritual power lives, goes dimmer and dimmer and dimmer. And the mind becomes trumps everything. Oh, I need to do this because of this. I need to do that because of this. I need to do this because of this, right? And we go down and we end up becoming just these shells of our true selves. Our little light, our little true intuitive knowing gets so dim inside of ourselves. And we end up living by what the mind is dictating. And what happens is when you start to feel crazy is when that deep intuitive knowing and that deep intuitive power comes to the surface. Because it's your emotional body. And, one of my friends and clients, I posted something on my Instagram, and the reasons I'm making this is because I posted something on my Instagram, and it was, people thought she was crazy, but she was only highly intuitive. And I was like, this is the story of my life. This has been the story of my life. And it's because when you are very intuitive, it's very hard to explain that to anybody. And when you're an authentic witch, you live by your intuition. But when it's not seen or valued or legitimized in the culture we live in, you feel nuts. So I just want to tell all of you beautiful empathic witches out there that are highly sensitive that your reality is not false. The things that you feel are real. And what the work that we need to learn to do is to distinguish from our reactive, wounding self that can dictate our emotions versus our deep, intuitive knowing. Those are the two things, because we have so much wounding around not trusting ourselves and not being seen. And we feel so wounded and worthless because of that, that we end up being very reactive to a lot of things and really hypersensitive to a lot of things, right? Because we don't feel seen, because we don't feel heard. And what needs to happen, the only way to work through that is to bring the power back into the self, to bring the source back into the self, to nourish the intuition, to make that the priority of your life. The intuition should be the leader of our lives, as the great Albert Einstein quote says. The intuition should be the leader, and the rational mind should be its servant, okay? The greatest minds of our generation, Carl Jung said this, Albert Einstein, two of my favorite thinkers, witches themselves, who knew the power of intuition and imagination are the most important thing. That is how the theory of relativity came to Albert Einstein. He's a Pisces. He imagined it, and it came, and he materialized it energetically first. And you know where we're at in human history right now? Things are changing. The energy has gotten too strong. The power structures, their inability to access the intuitive realm, the feminine, the yin, and their dismissal of that has hit such a plateau and such a space, because they're really dismissing the human, the whole human. That, and this is not just the power structures, okay? This is not just the corporations, it's ourselves. So when we take the fingers, I'm just talking about macro and also bringing it back to the micro, okay? So we take the pointer fingers, we say it's the corporations, it's the governments, it's this, it's my friends, it's my husband. Take all that, bring it back, and say, how do I do this to myself? How do I do this to myself? By not trusting my intuition. Intuition, when trusted fully, will take you into a space of divine being, divine accordance. But we live in a world that doesn't value it, so it's very hard for us to value it. And when you yourself are just a witch of an intuitive being, it takes every ounce of power in your being to build up the self-worth, the courage, and the self-knowing to fully trust what you feel. Especially if you've had a lot of people around your life that like to tell you what to do, like to control you, which because you probably do if you're empathic, you're highly sensitive, right? So this full moon, it's a new full moon in Cancer, and we've still got the Pluto-Venus conjunction going on, which happened on New Year's, which is this breaking apart, this taking the power back, the Venusian energies of beauty, empress, goddess. The goddess is returning, you guys, and the only way she returns is through us. And the only way she returns is when we use our intuition to begin to guide our lives. And that is what is happening on this full moon. So use that intuition. All right. I love you guys. Take it easy.